Hi guys, welcome to this video. In today's video, I want to give you a beginner-friendly tutorial about make.com. So if you don't know what it is, it's basically the platform we use to make most of our automations. There also a competitor that is really well known, which is Zapier, which is this one here. We also use it. We don't use it too much. We have some folders here as well. I will not show you for business purpose because we have a lot of automations in there, but basically the main difference, I will say, a lot of people prefer Zapier, some people prefer make.com. We actually use mainly make.com just because when you start doing a lot of automations, it's cheaper than Zapier. Zapier can be really, really expensive when you start having a lot. Zapier, it's a little bit beginner friendly. It's easier to connect all the apps and make the automation. Make it a little bit more complex, but when you start to know make is you can do so much more in make, especially like scraping, outreach, content, and so on. So we prefer make just because when you start to reach a level of automations and volume, it's cheaper, and again, you can do more with Zapier. With make, it doesn't mean that Zapier is bad. A lot of people just use Zapier. We see a lot of people on YouTube using Zapier. We just prefer make, and as I said, most of our automations are on make. So I just want to make this video for you guys to get a little bit around the platform, what everything is for, and just give you a quick overview. Again, I think the best way to learn make, and is how we're doing on our agency, is actually making, right? Like it's watching a YouTube video for someone doing an automation, try to copy, see our automations on our community as well in here, and just try to copy as well. So just doing it, you start seeing, okay, this works, like this module, it's meant for this. If I want to have like a formula, I know what module to use. So you start getting around make.com. So it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but then when you start to actually creating a lot of scenarios, you start, get to know it. So again, this is just a super beginner friendly. So for people that are just starting out to know a little bit about it. So this is like the page, okay? You just click start for free. You can enter with your Gmail account, whatever email you want. Okay, this is just their main home page, I'll say. And when we're inside, this is just a testing account that we created for this video. So we don't show you know some information that we cannot show to you. But basically, this is kind of the dashboard. So when you log in, as you can see, this is also a current plan free account because we just created, and then you can upgrade it for several payment plans. Again, they are way cheaper than Zapier. So for example, the $10 plan is really enough for most people that are starting out because you can do a lot of operations. And basically, you can see everything here, like how much data transfer, how much operations you have. As you can see, you have 1,000 on the free plan. You have 500 megabytes as well. And you can see you can only have 2 active scenarios. And I think that's the only low, from the free plan, because you can only have 2 active scenarios. So you can create, you can play around here, but when you want to active something, you only have 2. Okay. But yeah, basically this is the dashboard. Again, you can create a scenario right in here on the button. You can see your settings if you click here, like billing details, payments, and so on. And then here you can actually see again the organization. You can have teams, users, so you can add people on your account if you have some employees. You can see your subscription, the payments, how many apps are you installed, how many scenario properties. So this is more like settings wise. I will not go through it all of them, but you can just click around and see it. But this is kind of like just the main dashboard, right? So you can see everything, and especially the usage. I think that we spend most of the time in here just checking out like how many operations we use, like if it's already reaching our peak, we need to upgrade or not. Okay. uh, Again, I will these, as you guys can see here on the menu on the side, I'll probably put me here on the side because most of the menu it's on the left. But as you can see, there's not too much in here. They show you some examples how you can use make. You can choose it out and start it, but most people just click on create a new scenario to start one. Or if you want, again, I will show you some stuff here really quickly. You don't need to use all of these menu on the left, especially when you are starting out. But basically, teams, you can check up this dashboard for team users and so on. We don't use it too much, to be honest, The main ones, I would say, it's scenarios, templates, uh, and connections. I would say that's like the top three. Then you have webhooks. That is for some apps that you actually need a webhook to connect the app. They are not like integrated in make.com. You need webhooks, or for example, you need to have like a form to be straight away. So it's kind of like a different way to connect the app, to be honest, if they are not integrated with make. And then you have like some keys and devices. Like you can have like on your device, you can connect the device, and when you click on them or like a button on your phone, it triggers an automation. Then you have data stores. Is basically you can store data for a scenario and then use that data on other scenarios, right? Like for example, if you are collecting contacts, like when they fill out a form on your website, you can actually put all those contacts in a database data store, give it a name, and then if you want to, I don't know, create a scenario to send an email every, I don't know, last Thursday of the month, you can actually go and grab that data from the other scenario that you make. So this is like data storage. And then if you click more, you have data structure and my apps. My apps, you actually can build apps and connect your apps here. If you have an app, if you are a programmer, you can actually create an app and put it here on make.com, but we don't do that. And then data structure, it's a little bit more complex, is that you can give some structure to data that you won't always make to have in consideration. So for example, if you have a CSV file, you can put a structure like you always need to fetch name, email, phone number, address, city, for example. So, but even if like for example, you have a contact that doesn't have a city, it will structure with the city but blank. So sometimes it can give an error because you don't have the enough data. So you don't have to worry. You can say to make like, I always need these 5 columns, and if the contact just have 2, don't worry, just transfer the contact and you have those 2 contact, like those 2 columns in blank. Again, this is way more advanced. You don't have to worry about this. And then you have some resources if you want to check it out. They have a really good tutorial based knowledge, so feel free to take the make.com course. It's really, really good to start. So I strongly advise it if you want to check their resource hubs and so on. Is really good. And then the scale team here below is just going to your profile. Okay, but basically the best ones are scenarios. There is a couple of here, you'll have nothing but just some tests that I made for the video. Then the template, if you click on templates, you can actually choose a pre-made template from Make, which is kind of cool because you can just click one and then it automatically imports for the scenario. Like for example, this a new income email goes to a Google spreadsheet in a new row. So if you click here, he actually shows you like what is the automation, like email, Google Sheet, and then I click it, and if you click, it goes that like it creates a scenario for you. You just have to start putting your own kind of email and so on and so on, and just trying to build out the scenario. So this is kind of cool if, first of all, if you don't know what to start with, and also to take some ideas, because if you don't know what to use, you can actually come here and they have a lot of templates. So you can actually see the potential of make.com by just checking it out, like, share data added to a Google Sheet in Slack message. Okay, that's cool. I actually need that for my company. So this is really good just to check it out. It's really good for you to take a lot of ideas, and you can see how to integrate all the platforms like Google Forms with Trello, RSFeed with LinkedIn, and so on and so on. So it's really good for those of you that are starting out to actually start with pre-made templates. Okay. So this is really good, guys. You can just, as I said, you can click on one, it will go to a scenario, and then you can start, filling out your data, connecting all the apps, and basically making a scenario, right? So this is really cool. You can spend some time here because I have a really good example that you can take from. And then, as I said, here on the connections, you can actually, see, some of the connections. You can click verify, for some reason, give an error or something, or you can actually click reauthorize and it will ask you for the connection again. So this is good to always double check. If you have an error on a scenario, it says that I cannot access OpenAI, for example, you can come here and just verify again and see if the connection is it's correct, or if you need to connect again. So this is kind of cool. Then, as I said, webhooks, you don't need to do it right now. You also have the keys, devices, and data storage. Again, you don't need to use this to start with. mostly scenarios and template. I think those two are the top ones. So if you click on scenarios, you will see here the ones if they are active or off, so they are inactive. You can actually click here on the little dot. You can move to folders, so you can create folders here on the plus sign, and say main. Let's see if you can create one, like for example, like Central Time. I don't know. Like if you click save, if you click create a folder, and we can move one with this here, move folder, and you can go to Central Time. So this is really good if you have a lot. You can organize them by like outreach, content, onboarding, and you can have all the folders here on the left side. As you can see here, you can see the frequency. Know if it's immediately, if it's every 15 minutes, if it's like a specific day of the week. And you can see all the integrations and everything here as well. You can give a name. If you come here as well, you can click clone and duplicate the scenario, or you can delete it. So you can do three things here. And if you click one, it will go to the integration, right? So as you can see here, this is just an example, but you can click here and change the name if you want, 123, and when you click outside, it will record the name. So you can change the name here you want. And yeah, let me just click on the other one. Let's go. Yeah, let's try. Well, let's try this one. It's just an example, so I can create this one. Or if you want, you can just let's create a new scenario. So click on the button, and as you can see, this is probably where you spend most of your time creating stuff. And yeah, I'll just give you a quick. Let me just follow this, but so you can see the full screen. But basically here, what you can do is like, this is where you start. So this is kind of the trigger, right? So you need to give an order, and then the order makes everything trigger to the action, right? So if something happens, it starts this, or you do this. Okay, so that's basically what function make.com, right? You need to say like, when this happens, you trigger an action, and then all of these steps go follow. Okay, so basically you always start with this plus sign, which is the main trigger. Okay, and as you can see, it starts with all the apps here. As you can see, this is so massive. You can choose so many apps. As you guys can see, this is all the apps that they have. And here on the side, you can see this is kind of a brand new redesign that they made. You can see the make.com apps. So this is basically stuff that can help you improve your automation, right? And again, the best way to always test understand this is to test it out, just create it and see it. But I can go a little bit really fast on this. So you have the first one is custom webhooks. Again, if you don't see the app here, maybe they don't have like a straight connection with Make, but you can use custom webhooks to actually fetch some data from an app that doesn't have full integration, or there is an action that they don't have in here. You can actually use custom webhooks to trigger an action here. Okay, so this is the first one. Again, this is more advanced. Then we have the router. Basically, the router is when you want to do tools and to like use filters. So for example, we have videos here on the community where we fill out a form where we can choose a topic, or you can choose a URL, right? So basically the router, what it makes them choose, okay, if the guy fill out the form choosing a topic, go to the top and start this automation. If you choose URL, you go to the bottom of automation. So you always have two sides of it, okay? So that's one thing, okay? And I will just show you, for example, here on Google Form, you can say, and then these are all the actions. So when you click on one of the apps, you can see forms, like everything that it does, right? And there is like more advanced things, which is API calls, which is more advanced. You don't need this, but you have plenty of stuff. As you can see on Google Forms, you can search a form, you can create a form, you can get the form, you can update the form. So it's pretty, I would say, straightforward. But one thing that we will say is like watch responses. So we want the scenario to always watch a response. And when you get one new fill out form, it will trigger the action, right? So this is a really common one to use. And again, I will explain this in a minute, because then what you need is like connect, click add. You need to connect your app. It will be like a pop-up here, like, oh yeah, you want to connect your Google Forms account. You click yes, and you connect it. Really straightforward and simple. And then you start doing, the app, or like filling out all the information you need for this integration. Okay, but just to finish the route and showing you what Make has it, if you click, I'll open a new little module. As you can see here on the right, the route is basically this. I just want to show you how it looks like, but basically it gives you two ways. So then you can use filters, like if the form says green, go here. If the form says blue, you go here. So this is the route. Okay, you can click on the right side, right, and you have add a route, or the routes, rename it, copy. You can copy a module and just duplicate, add a note. You can add notes if you want to remember stuff, and you can delete it, right? If you want to rename it, this is really good to rename it, not the route, but for example, the Google form, you can rename it for, for example, home page form. So you know exactly what is the form you're getting. Okay, this is really good to always change the names on each module, so you know where is going, like what is the source, right? But I will just delete this one and I'll show you the other one really quickly. So we have iterators. Basically, iterators is, for example, you can see like even the image give you like one output can bring like divides the output. So for example, if you have this is a little bit like more advanced as well, but if you have a lot of choices in one question, you can say, okay, I want question one, then you want to separate all the little answer, like all the little arrays. But again, this is more advanced, but this is all modules from make.com. Like this is not an app. This is for you to improve your connections. The aggregated is the same. It's a lot of responses to just one. And then you have these multiple variables and match patterns. The variables, these little tools here, you can do a lot of stuff. This is the one that we do the most, which is set a variable. And basically what you say, like you give value to a variable, right? So for example, if I want to give like a text that for ChatGPT to analyze, I can put the text here, say that is like a variable or it's a tool, and then I can continue the flow, right? But again, this is just for you to understand that there is a couple of modules here on the right side, and on here on the bottom, you can actually click on them. Have the text parser. This is all make.com, and as you can see, there's a lot of them. To repeat an action, to router, so give two options, to stop, to ignore, and so on, so on. But again, this is more advanced, but let me just delete these two. But basically, when you have these, you always click on the app, and you can have all the apps here, okay? So for example, here I can choose Gmail. Let's click on Gmail and send, for example, every time I have a form, I want to create or send an email, right? So you have send an email here. And you just need to drag the module. As you can see, it's not connected to this. When you see it's connected, is when this happens. Okay, oh, connected. So you just need to bring really close to the other one, and they will connect. So now they are connected. Every time a trigger happens, you send an email. Okay, and if I click here, you will need to fill out everything like subject, what you want to write. And one cool thing is that when you connect one module to the previous one, when you click on, for example, the subject, you have dynamic answers. So you can fetch information from the previous modules and add to the next module. For example, the subject, I can say, I don't know, I saw your form. And then, for example, if you put it like this first name on the form, it will appear here, first name. So you can click, I'll say create time, because this will be the created time of the form, but it will say here first name. So you can actually dynamically connect all the modules. So you can say, I saw your form, George, because you go and fetch the first name of this module. So if you click here, it will always appear on the side the previous answers of the modules. And there is a lot of little things here that is more advanced, like you can have formulas, you can have lowercase, like these are also keywords, but this is way more advanced. It's really, you don't need it at the moment, but you just need to connect the module, right? So this is like kind of the basics. You connect one model to start the trigger, and then you start adding modules. So if you send an email, if you click here, then it goes to another thing, like goes to like the answer for the email goes to a Google Sheet. Or if I have Slack, I want a notification on my Slack. Like for example, I want to create a message saying that, oh, you just send an email to Georgia. Okay. So as you can see, they are all connected. And here, as I said, I don't have a Slack connected yet on this test. So I need to click here, create a connection, and I need to connect my Slack account to here. Okay. You always need to do this once to connect the module. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As I said, this is pretty basic. You just add here on plus, and you add the app that you want, and you always see below the action that they do. So you always need to go to an app, click on Gmail, and you can see all the actions that make.com can do. Okay, and just choose the one that you want. Okay. These little notifications you see here is because it's lack of information. So you missed some fields to put it, and you will need it to do it in order to run it. Okay, but as I said, if you click on the right click of the mouse, you can always rename it, clone, copy, delete the user. A quick, really good tip is that if you click on Shift, you can actually select all of them, and you can play around, because if you just click one, it will be like this. Okay, if you want to grab more, click on the Shift and just go around. You can even do copy paste, and it will copy the three instead of just one. So this is really good for like really big modules, because you can just copy paste like 3-4 modules at a time. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Again, you have the module, you can change the name, and then you have some controls here, so you can always save the scenario, which is really good. It's always good to save it. You can click here on auto align. So imagine that is like this. If you click on auto align, it will put like in a better organization. Okay, so you can click auto align, and then again you can import and export blueprints. We do this a lot on the community, right? When I give you a pre-made automation, you can just import it and it will be here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can add notes. These scenario settings, you don't need it to actually do anything here for now. This is more advanced, so you don't need the settings. And the last thing you can do again is you can run once and test it out. You can activate the scenario. I cannot activate right now because it's missing some connection, like I don't have Slack connected, so it doesn't allow me to activate. But when you finish everything, you will be able to activate. You can run once. You can click here the schedule settings and change the interval of how it triggers. So here is, for example, 50 minutes. Every 50 minutes it will watch the form, but you can change here. I can change for every single minute in 60 minutes. So every hour it goes and checks the form. You can change here for once a day, or in this case just one time. You can do days of the week, Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. and it will just check this automation at this time. Okay, so this is where it started, and then you can choose some advanced settings like start date and end dates. But for now, I think it's pretty okay to just have like 50 minutes intervals. And again, if you check our videos, we will tell you if you need more, if you need less, depending also on the frequency that you use this automation, right? But yeah, that's pretty much here to play around. As I said, it's pretty much everything that you need. Again, the best way to always start to test. Again, there's so many things you can do, like HTML stuff, scraping, and on our community we will give you more videos, advanced videos, where you can just go one by one and test it out. But as I said, it's pretty, when you start to get used to it, as we do at the moment, as we did a lot of scenarios, is basically just entering each one of them and fill out the information that you need, like the form ID, how many I want to fetch. I just want to fetch one form at a time, and so on and so on. So you just need to go one by one. And then you can click run once to test it out. You can even click on the right side of the button and click run this module only if you just want to test one module. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the basic stuff, I would say that you spend most of the time on the scenarios. Again, you can I will not change. I will discard these changes because it doesn't allow me to save because I didn't have Slack connected. But I think one thing you can do is start with this. Start with templates, see what they do, and just go to the flow, click one, and start adding all your information. And yeah, I think this is the best way to start. Just start with templates, go to scenarios, click on create scenarios, and start slowly testing your, pretty simple stuff, right? Like a form to an email, a spreadsheet, Slack, communication. So really like 2 modules, 3 modules. We have like, I can tell that we have a scenario with 100 modules. So you see how big it is. But you can start really slow, like 2 modules. One thing triggers, the other thing does an action. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the beginner side of Make. Yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.